Hi, my name is Joel Scott, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm a scientist with the NASA Ocean Biology and Biogeochemistry program. For the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you the innovative ways that emerging NASA technologies are advancing ocean science. And I would also like to share with you how our knowledge of life in the ocean is creating value for humanity and improving our way of life. But let's zoom out of the ocean for a moment and look at our home planet, Earth. Our planet can be thought of as a system of systems. There's the atmosphere, the oceans, the cryosphere, the terrestrial ecosystems, and those are just the ones that we as humans interact with most frequently. Each of these ecosystems, like the ocean for example, has thousands of components and processes that enable the ecosystem to function, interact with each other, and enable life on Earth as we know it. NASA has an extensive fleet of Earth-observing satellites designed to study the land, ocean, atmosphere, and more. We at NASA take a variety of approaches when it comes to remotely sensing and studying the Earth. Some of our satellites fly in their own orbits, some instruments fly on the International Space Station, and others are CubeSats, designed to make low-cost and versatile observations of our planet. NASA works with other federal, private, and international partners to ensure that we have a holistic view of our Earth. Let's focus for a moment on the ocean and life in the ocean. For over 3 decades now, NASA has been studying microscopic life in the ocean from space. And we do this by looking at the color of the ocean. Just like on land, the color green is an indicator of life. It comes from the photosynthetic pigment chlorophyll, which microscopic organisms in the ocean, called phytoplankton, use to make food. This is the same pigment that makes trees and plant leaves green. Phytoplankton are a base component of both the oceanic food chain and a key part of the carbon cycle. They convert carbon into food and release oxygen. This animation shows ocean chlorophyll content, and the brighter green, yellow, and red colors indicate more biological activity in those parts of the ocean. As a scientific community, ocean biologists and biogeochemists are facing some grand challenges. With compounding climate stressors from natural variability, a warming planet, and direct human impacts, it is important that we understand how the global ocean ecosystems are changing, and how those changes will impact life on our planet and in the global biosphere. It is no secret that the ocean helps regulate climate and helps stabilize the global temperature by removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But with every existing and additional stress placed on the ocean, there are consequences, and we are studying how elements of life, like carbon, are cycling through the ocean system, and how ocean ecosystems and resources are then impacted and respond. As I've alluded to, the ocean interacts with other systems, like the atmosphere. It also interacts with ice and the cryosphere, and also the land. Now, we as humans love the land-ocean interface. Beaches, the shoreline, rivers and deltas, and waterfront cities, these are all key areas for human life and activity. They're where we make our homes and our livelihoods, and are vital to transportation and the movement of goods and commerce. Earth scientists are working across disciplines to better understand how ocean interfaces and interface habitats function, and how their ecosystem services and the value they create can be safeguarded and sustained for future generations. The ocean is often the location of large, environmentally significant transient events. Things like harmful algal blooms that cause massive fish die-offs or close beaches, storms or king tides that flood and inundate our communities, oil spills that impede ecosystem function and cost tens of millions of dollars to mitigate and clean up. Transient events are happening more often and with more intensity, and we are studying these events to help prepare and enable mitigation and recovery. We also live in an era where we have more kinds and more volume of Earth data and ocean data than ever before. Now, this is a good challenge to face. As Earth data collectors and interpreters, it is our job to ensure that this data is robust and useful, made available in formats that make sense and are easy to use, to enable scientific discoveries and benefit society. As Earth and ocean data grow, we must leverage data science, synthesis, and mining strategies to maximize the value of NASA satellite, airborne, in-water, and modeled ocean data to better understand ocean biogeochemistry, ecosystems, and their dynamic processes. In order to address these grand challenges, we will need to leverage new technologies and new approaches to achieve new outcomes and learn new science. Now, open science is not a new concept to NASA, but this initiative ties many separate initiatives that are foundational to how we access, discover, and share NASA data and science together. Open science leverages open principles like free and accessible data and software, and open access literature to build new partnerships with industry and engage new audiences to interact and explore NASA data. Open science brings together data from across NASA missions to help understand the Earth as a system and accelerate our ability to leverage Earth data to further society. The goals of open science at NASA are to shorten the time it takes for a person to find and learn how to use data, to increase community involvement in developing collaborative solutions to advance modeling, analysis, and prediction tools, while looking for new ways to explore and exploit data and sharing analysis and data science tools in the same ecosystem as the data itself. And we are doing this to incentivize and energize innovation and new applications of NASA data. NASA recently released a strategic plan for Earth applied science. One of the key points made in this plan is that Earth science data has profound capabilities to guide decisions at all levels, and that NASA data has utility beyond exploration and scientific achievement. Science and data about our planet informs everything from resource management to disaster response, and from climate adaptation to resilience strategies. There is an incredible demand for science and data among society to enable more efficient decision-making. Companies, nonprofits, and other organizations are realizing that NASA Earth data and science complement their work. NASA values these partnerships, and we are working to enable our partners to more efficiently use Earth data to meet their needs. Society and applied science at NASA have many connections to the ocean and life within. Here are just a few examples. NASA ocean data enables responsive and sustainable fisheries, as well as improved ecosystem understanding in order to better place and operate aquaculture facilities. NASA data also provide early detection and enable mitigation strategies when harmful algal blooms like red tide occur. Our ocean color and carbon cycle data is a powerful indicator to provide insight into biodiversity, ecosystem health, and different factors that impact blue forests and carbon sequestration. NASA data even supports the monitoring and tracking of macroalgae, like sargassum, to enable ecosystem managers to respond to increased sargassum events that can pollute beaches, disrupt industry, and overwhelm habitats. There are even ecosystem managers using NASA data to develop novel uses for macroalgae, such as upcycling it into a natural fertilizer or even into hardy building materials. These novel innovations are only possible through cutting-edge technology development and deployment. NASA continually invests in developing new instruments and sensors, many that are capable of drastically improving our understanding of the ocean and life within. Some examples are developing and testing active remote sensing technologies such as ocean-capable LiDAR to better identify what is in the water, getting at phytoplankton size classes, carbon content, as well as enabling polar and nighttime observations. NASA is also working to make existing passive remote sensing instruments smaller and more efficient to be compatible on a smaller CubeSat architecture. And we are developing cutting-edge technology like hyperspectral imaging in new ways, such as on the Earth Venture instrument Glimmer, which will enable timely ocean color observations from a geostationary orbit over North America. Now, this type of orbit will allow us to observe the daily variations in ocean biology and biogeochemistry and the subsequent impact on the carbon cycle multiple times a day. NASA is also investing in suborbital technologies that can be deployed on aircraft or in water. Many of these technologies further ocean science at NASA by creating training data sets to develop new retrieval algorithms that can leverage machine learning to link optical data, such as imaging spectroscopy, to practical uses, such as identifying what types of phytoplankton communities are in the ocean. NASA also leverages autonomous technologies for data collection, such as the biogeochemical Argo profiling floats, sea gliders, and sail drones, to more efficiently and broadly collect Earth data from across the global oceans. At NASA, we are always looking for new ways to maximize the value of our existing satellite assets. One way we are doing this is by developing new observing strategies. The focus of this initiative is to investigate ways that we can dynamically task existing satellites and UAVs and to deploy constellations of small sats and CubeSats to better observe transient events of interest. As I mentioned earlier, transient events can be very important to Earth science. For example, intense precipitation from a cyclone can cause major runoff in a large watershed like the Chesapeake Bay. These events can carry increased nutrients such as agricultural fertilizer and sediment across the land-ocean interface and trigger an algal bloom. These blooms have ecological effects, and their magnitude can be even larger than the natural seasonal cycle. However, our conventional polar orbiting ocean color satellites may only observe an event like this once or twice a day, and they may miss key moments in the evolution and life cycle of these transient events. This is where emerging technologies like small-sat constellations or dynamic tasking of existing satellites can help. Here we are showing a simulation of two real on-orbit satellites, Seahawk, which is a 3U ocean color CubeSat, and Landsat 9, which was recently launched in September, but does not commonly collect high-resolution data over the open ocean. We also simulated a second Seahawk CubeSat to explore the benefits of having multiple ocean color CubeSats deployed in a constellation. As you can see, we have identified areas of interest on the globe, and NASA's new observing strategies Overpass Predictor has been able to identify additional opportunities to dynamically task Landsat 9 to collect data and better observe these specific areas. In this technology demonstration, we can see two benefits. One, having multiple identical satellites flying in a constellation will increase the number of observations of a transient event. And two, by tasking Landsat 9 to turn on and collect high-resolution data over the ocean provides additional insights into the productivity of these regions and future transient events. Thank you for joining me today to learn about how ocean science can directly advance society by fulfilling decision makers' needs, and to hear about how NASA is leveraging new technologies to maximize the value of our data and science. Together we can tackle the grand challenges facing humanity, especially when it comes to understanding and supporting healthy and clean ocean ecosystems and habitats. Through science, we can better understand our environment, enabling us to thrive together with our ocean as part of a healthy system of systems on our home planet, Earth.